90 minutes. With us, Fox News contributor Bob Beckel. He's a former Mondale campaign manager. Terry Holt is here, too, former national spokesman for the Bush-Cheney campaign, a former senior advisor to the Republican National Committee. Terry, first to you. I mean, bottom line, you look at those two speeches. They were both ultimately about keeping this country safe and how to do it. These two men very much disagree, and they were not shy about criticizing each other's administrations.
I found Vice President Cheney's speech to be sober and precise, a critique of the policies that have been embarked upon over the last 4 or 5 months. It's clear that he is concerned that we're off seriously on the wrong track. He's concerned that we are presenting a profile of weakness to the terrorists, all in the name of easy politics. Barack Obama today seemed to be on defense and a bit plaintive. It was almost as if he was surprised that somebody would disagree with him on substance. And I felt like that this was quite a stark contrast between a very serious person who's concerned about the national security of this country and Barack Obama, who still seems to be more worried about the politics, playing to both the left and the right during his speech. And a speech that was largely defensive.
Bob, we're going to get to the position that Obama's in just a second, but first I want to play a clip for our viewers from the Obama speech where he takes on the Bush administration. Take a listen.
We're cleaning up something that is quite simply a mess. A misguided experiment that has left in its wake a flood of legal challenges that my administration is forced to deal with on a constant, almost daily basis, and that consumes the time of government officials whose time should be spent on better protecting our country.
And Mr. Cheney went after the Obama administration just as hard, Bob. I mean, that's not something we see every generation.
No, you don't. And what you witnessed today, by the way, I've been in Washington for 30 years. I've never heard a more slanderous, disgraceful performance by a former vice president or president than I just listened to. The idea that Dick Cheney would suggest that the Obama administration was putting, for political purposes, at risk the security of the United States of America and the lives of American people is outrageous. The fact that he said, quote, just sort of offhandedly said, and now they want to move into the United States at taxpayer expense. What does he think they're using to build Guantanamo? That's taxpayer money. The idea that somehow having terrorists in this country is that we have got terrorists in this country, many of whom came in during the Bush administration. The idea, I mean, I could go on and on here, but listen, wait a second, Terry, because this has just gone too far. And he says, when he says, one word.
Go ahead. Terry, while you're looking, Terry, go ahead and respond to that.
Vice President Cheney was very precise. He said, in fact, that when they released the memos, they released the parts of the memos that talked about the interrogation techniques, but redacted the parts that showed what the results were. That's ultimately about politics. And Dick Cheney said at the very beginning of his speech, you know, he's out of office. He's talking about the policies, and he admitted up front that when he was in the bunker at the White House on September 11th, that changed him, and I think it should have changed all of us. But in fact, we've had a revisionist history take place here, and now the circumstances are different, the politics are different. Dick Cheney is saying that the terrorism is exactly the same. The nation is still under a threat.
Terry, let me read you what he said here. That the Obama administration is criminalizing the actions of brave people, he didn't put it that way, who sought the safety of Americans. Barack Obama went out of his way to say that he didn't want to prosecute anybody in the CIA. Barack Obama does not want a commission that Nancy Pelosi and others do want, and the Republicans now want, and they're going to rue the day they ask for it. Obama's asked to look forward continually. And the other thing I might add is Obama did change his mind on the photographs because he took the advice of people who said, Mr. President, we think you're wrong about this. Maybe you should change your mind. He did, unlike George Bush, who wouldn't change his mind on anything in the face of evidence that he was overwhelmingly wrong in his policy.
You know, and
now you've got a vice president of the United States accusing people. You, by the way, Terry, who are a very decent guy, accusing people of politicizing something that jeopardizes the lives of the American people. You know how outrageous a statement that is?
Not exactly, Bob. What I guess, and Dick Cheney said it during his speech. He says, you know, you can't always use a political triangulation strategy when it comes to national security. Sometimes you do have to pick right from wrong, and in this case, he accused Barack Obama of trying to split the baby here. And you're right, he may offend the left and he may offend the right, but what if we get the national security wrong in the intervening period?
And Bob,
it's quite an indictment, and it's serious.
One thing that Cheney took pains to point out was we've been safe since 9/11, which Obama did not highlight.
Well, look, the fact of the matter is, before 9/11, this country was attacked exactly 2 times in 55 years. The fact that it hasn't been attacked in 7, I give a lot of credit to people who have done their job, like the police in New York and the FBI in New York, who stopped that terrorist attack under Obama's administration, I might add. There's probably been a lot of attacks that have been stopped by police work. But the idea to suggest that because of the Bush-Cheney actions, that somehow this country was made safer. And by the way, I think he's right. The only thing Cheney said that was right today was they ought to release these memos because FBI Director Mueller and the Inspector General of the CIA categorically said that there was no evidence that these tactics led to intelligence that saved American lives. If we're going to release it, then, Mr. Cheney, I suggest we know exactly who was going to do these attacks, where they were going to take place, and the number of American lives that were at stake, and what you did to stop that, specifically. And you know what? It doesn't exist.
Bob, before I let you guys go, I do want to get to Terry's point of, Karl Rove said a little bit earlier that Barack Obama today was speaking from a weakened position, that he has been hit obviously so hard, particularly by people in his own party today. Where does this issue go from here, and how damaged is he?
I agree with that, but when Terry said he's trying, or when Cheney said he's trying to triangulate here, what Barack Obama did was say some things that I could tell you are going to infuriate the left, like you're more concerned about transparency, the terrorism, and then the far right. He wasn't trying to split the middle. He was taking the extremes, which is what this is about. This is about the extremes, and the people who wanted to release those photographs were on the extreme. They were on my side, but they were wrong. As much as Dick Cheney's wrong in suggesting that somehow Barack Obama and his people would consciously take steps to jeopardize the security of this administration is the most outrageous statement a public official who ever been elected said that I've ever heard.
We can't underscore it enough today, and I think, Bob, you and Terry have highlighted that as well, that what we are seeing unfold in this debate is extraordinary. It is something that we should all be paying attention to.
It is extraordinary. It's very sad. It's very sad.
And it's obviously emotional as well. Bob Beckel, Terry Holt, thanks to both of you.
Thanks, Jay.